Okay, we're just getting in breaking news of a big army strike on the terror group, the NSCN camp near the Indo-Myanmar border. In fact, the operation has been going on for the last 2 to 3 days. The operations have only intensified since 7:30 in the morning today itself, with 21 special forces being involved in this massive operation. We hear that one NSCN militant has been killed so far. Now, this isn't a cross-border strike, but operation is taking place along the border. We're still waiting for more details, but a big army operation that is presently underway. Kamaljeet Sandhu joins us with the very latest. Kamaljeet, tell us more.
Well, two significant developments happening. One is that the Prime Minister is expected to be in Myanmar on Tuesday, and that is why this encounter becomes even more significant. Remember, the 21 special forces are already acting there. We've been told a team of 35 men who were prepared for this entire encounter had been keeping an eye in that area for around 2 to 3 days. The active encounter only began at 7:30 in the morning. We've been told that the encounter is still currently on, that the one NSCN-K terrorist has been gunned down, that one soldier has also got a bullet injury on his shoulder. He's been evacuated. This is also an area, Longding is an area in which 2015 several army soldiers were injured in an ambush attack which was done and conducted by the NSCN. What is also more important is that this is extremely close to the Indo-Myanmar border. Now, this has been in a grey area. There has been an agreement between India and Myanmar that there would be some sort of joint patrolling as far as the borders will be done, so that at least the sort of leeway that these militants get when they attack and obviously go back into that area is kind of controlled and contained. But this is also comes at a time where there is all pressure and eyes, especially not just on Myanmar and the Rohingya issue, which India proposes would perhaps discuss, but also on the security scenario and about militants operating from the area of Myanmar and through the thick foliage and jungles there.
Absolutely. And Kamaljeet, any reports of any arrests or casualties? Because this is not the first time that one is getting to hear of an encounter between the Army Special Forces and the group of these militants belonging to the NSCN.
Well, we've seen the first surgical strike happen. That was in the Indo-Myanmar border itself. There was a cross-border strike which had actually stunned the world. And now we've seen a similar action happening. They're not calling this a cross-border strike. This is very well within the Indian territory. But the significance is that obviously this is touching on the borderline. This is also about raising the security scenario. So all these particular dimensions become extremely important. What is also important is that AK-56 has been recovered, 200 rounds have been recovered, grenades have been recovered. So recovery is still being made. But yes, this will be extremely significant. Also at the same time, General VK Singh and Army Chief Bipin Rawat are currently meeting the MOF home, Kiran Rijiju. So this is obviously, many obviously speculating that the meeting could also be coinciding with this, especially at a time because General VK Singh looks after external affairs, and obviously there could be some sort of ramification and repercussions as far as external affairs. And remember, the all-important meet between the Indian Prime Minister, and he's expected to be in Myanmar on Tuesday, especially after a high-profile visit for BRICS in China. So yes, all this adding together. But remember, the encounter is still currently on, and obviously this is a big shot in the arm for the Indian Army.
Oh, absolutely. We also have with us editor India Today, Sudhi Ranjan Sen, for more details and updates. Sudhi, over to you. Tell us more about this operation that presently is on with the special forces, going against the NSCN in Langdong.
Well, what we have been told as of now is that this is part of an ongoing, these kind of operations along the border do take place, because, mind you, the NSCN-K is no longer a signatory to the suspension of operations with Government of India. As a result of which, in 2015 we saw them coming across, killing the Dogra soldiers, which led to the cross-border strikes. So ever since that, there has been a very, a stringent vigil along the Indo-Myanmar border that is, maintained. Mind you, the border is not a closed border. The India-Myanmar border is not a closed border, and as a result of which there is, free movement, so to say, of terrorists and also of drug running, of smuggling that goes on. So time to time we have seen these operations happening, but this comes at a time, as Kamaljeet was saying, just before the Prime Minister goes. And we know for a fact that over the past year and a half, India has constantly raised this issue with Myanmar about the free run that the NSCN-K has in their country. The problem is that Myanmar has signed an understanding with the NSCN-K to maintain peace. So there is not the impression that we get is that there is not much pressure that is put put upon groups like the NSC and K from Myanmar side, why we are going after them.
No, but doesn't it put India in an uncomfortable situation, Sudhi, because militants all continue to enter the country. In fact, many of them leave just so many weapons. And Kamaljeet was also just telling us about the massive recovery of the arms that has been made. How does that, what does that mean for India's relationship with Myanmar with these kind of encounters taking place between the Army Special Forces and these militants?
Well, I mean, it does, vis-a-vis the security along the border, it does put us, put India in a kind of in a situation that we wouldn't want to be. But overall, the relationship that we have with Myanmar, we are not, very keen to make it a closed border. We are talking about roads through Indian territory into Myanmar for greater commerce, greater connectivity at one end. This, of course, is an issue that keeps on irritating or keeps on agitating the relationship between the two countries. And as of now, New Delhi has more or less reconciled to the fact that it will keep on maintaining vigil. It will keep on talking to Myanmar. Within its own territory, within its own border, it will go after the various militant groups like the NSCN-K, the ULFA, anti-talk faction. That it will continue to do while it bears down upon Myanmar to come around and support India in its anti-terror, anti-militant activities.
Yes.
There have been some progress in that. We had seen the National Security Advisor also going to Myanmar last year. There has been visits from Myanmar. So it's a relationship in progress as regards terrorism and militant groups operating from across the border are concerned.
Right. So just a quick recap of that breaking news. Special Forces presently engaged in, this operation that is presently underway in the Longding district along the Arunachal-Myanmar border. We hear that, this operation has been underway for the last, several days, but peaking only at 7:30 in the morning. Kamaljeet, any more additional information? You told us about the recovery of the AK-56 and the other, weapons, but any other latest information that you're getting in about the extent of casualties? Any casualties so far?
Well, this was an encounter which was started after intelligence reports, and obviously there is a significance because remember the army was preparing for 2 to 3 days and the active operation only began at 7:30. What is important is that the operation is still ongoing. We believe one soldier has been injured. He's got a shoulder injury, a bullet injury which grazed his shoulder. He's been now safely evacuated and taken on. We've also been told that there is a high-level meeting. We're still outside North Block waiting for both VK Singh and General Bipin Rawat to really step out so that we can have a word with them. But this is a high-profile meeting, and remember, this comes at a very important juncture. We all know that the Prime Minister is in China. He's headed towards Myanmar on Tuesday. So that is going to assume a lot of significance, and obviously India would want to put forth a strong case. And remember, this has been an irritant between India and Myanmar for quite some time, especially after the militants ambushed Indian soldiers, 8 of them who were killed in 2015, after which India was forced to do a surgical strike. But that area continues to be a threat of sorts because remember, those are areas which has a large spoilage, a lot of camouflage, at least for the militant groups, and that is why that surgical strike was conducted in the first place. But that continues to be a threat, and obviously the porous borders that India and Myanmar share. So there has to be a certain agreement about not just building roads and infrastructure, but also joint patrolling between India and Myanmar. All these being a part of the issue. Meanwhile, the encounter rages on.
Oh, absolutely. We also have with us Sushant Sareen, defense analyst, now joining us for more on this. Sushant, thanks so much for speaking to us. Your reactions on this, this operation that is presently underway. We hear that, a huge amount of arms have been recovered. No casualties yet. We haven't heard of any. One person is believed to be killed. But is this a usual, situation, a phenomena that one gets to see at the Indo-Myanmar border?
No, I think it is useful, but what is important is the politics behind it. And I would imagine that when we say along the Indo-Myanmar border...
Sushant, if I may just interrupt you there, and excuse me for doing so, but we've just been told that the Prime Minister presently is speaking at the BRICS summit. We'll just have to go straight across and listen in to Prime Minister Narendra Modi.
Skill-supported and technology-driven society. Excellencies and friends, I'm happy to note that the BRICS Business Council also had matching priorities of trade and investment facilitation, promoting skills development, infrastructure development, SME development, e-commerce and digital economy. Many productive recommendations have come out of your deliberations. Your work towards establishment of BRICS rating agency, energy cooperation, green finance and digital economy is particularly noteworthy. Let me conclude by saying that as governments, we will offer full support to your endeavors, and we also count on the BRICS Business Council to take us closer to our common objective of improving businesses and investment cooperation. Thank you.
Thank you, Prime Minister Modi, for your statement. Just now, leaders all applauded the work by the Business Council and the New Development Bank over the past year. We have also given important guidance to the future development of these two institutions. We trust that the Business Council and the New Development Bank will contribute even more to strengthening BRICS cooperation and the development of our 5 countries. That is the end of the leaders' statement session. Thank you. Thank you, President Xi and other leaders, for your important statements.
Spoke a short while back, but you know, it's been a good, positive day for India with the BRICS declaration naming Pakistan-based terror groups for the very first time, and that's, you know, a huge, a massive win for India. And also, you know, mentioned about India's bid to enter the nuclear suppliers group. So some positive there. News coming in from the BRICS summit. We'll continue to update our viewers with the very latest.
Thanks for watching the video. For more such news and updates, please like, share and subscribe to India Today. Also check out our other great videos from our channel. We know you will love to.